Do you have a moment to talk?
I suppose so.
How did you get here?
I don't know.
Right. Let's start somewhere else, shall we?
Sure. We can sit if you'd like.
Any suggestions?
Right behind you.
Of course. How did I miss those? I'm here to get a sense of who you are as a person. So, do you mind if I ask you some personal questions?
Go ahead.
What was your childhood like?
Oh. Well, I'm an only child. My parents didn't tend to get along. My father had a lot of medical conditions due to his work, and he ended up in the hospital more than a few times. He eventually got hooked on painkillers, which put a strain on my mother, understandably. When I was 15, he finally admitted he had a problem. And one day he checked himself into a psychiatric ward. We didn't hear from him again.
Let's try that again. What was your childhood like?
Oh. I grew up in Portland. Well, technically Happy Valley, which is a bit southeast of the city, but I've just always said Portland because it's easier that way. It's only a 25-minute drive into town. But anyways, my family lived on this nice little dead end near the nature park. My dad and I would waste so much time there. My parents thought it would be a good place to start a family since they originally moved there for my dad's work.
What did your father do for a living?
He was a mechanic.
What did your father do for a living?
He was in construction.
What did he do for a living?
He was an engineer.
And your mother?
She was a writer.
Very nice.
She was never really famous or anything, but paid the bills.
Any siblings?
An older brother. My parents had him not long after they moved to Portland. We got along really well for being 8 years apart. Our parents were quite strict, but we made it. He moved out the minute he turned 18.
Did you have any siblings?
No.
Want any?
No. I like the attention, honestly. As selfish as that sounds. I didn't have many friends at school. I preferred spending most of my time with my parents, which also meant spending time with their friends. I found myself around old people a lot more often than not. I guess I got good at having conversation pretty early on, since that's all they felt like doing, talking.
You liked it.
I did. I like spending time with my mom and dad.
So, did you end up going to college there? In Portland?
No. My family and I actually moved to Las Cruces. New Mexico. That's where they lived before they had me. It's where they both grew up.
What made them move back?
My father retired early, and both of my parents were sick and tired of the rain. We moved the summer between my sophomore and junior year of high school, which was a big change. I didn't really have to say goodbye to a lot of friends, but that dead end was the only home I knew for 16 years.
Do you wish you stayed?
I don't know.
Do you wish you stayed?
Yeah, I do. I like living in my own little world. But no matter what, that can only last for so long. It's probably about time to start growing up anyways.
So, you went to school in Las Cruces?
New Mexico State University. It was the only school I even applied to. I don't think I was ready to move away from my parents. I still lived at home with them.
What did you want to study?
Well, that was a thing that I never quite knew. My parents joked that I should become a dancer because it was something I had a knack for. But I knew it wouldn't get me anywhere. I decided at the last minute to go for a statistics major because it could get me a job. Which is something I cared about, but never fully thought through.
You were able to get a job in research, weren't you?
I was. There at the university, actually. Once I got my bachelor's, they gave me a research position there in the department. It was good for me. It gave me something. But before I knew it, time just sort of
passed. I guess that's just what happens to everyone. I was still living in Las Cruces, working at the university, and I decided to take a break, see if there was anything else I was good at. I moved over to finance, only to find that even more dull. I picked up photography because it had always interested me, but I found it just wasn't my thing. Then I went back to dance. I had taken classes for it in high school. I just never cared enough back then. But now there was this great dance class I started going to. I got more and more involved in performances. I had to decide whether to stick with my job at the university or try taking a risk.
You played it safe. You stayed where you were.
Why would I do that? That's no fun. I remember when I was a little girl, I used to dance around like crazy. Even as a teenager, when my parents would go out, I would blast music and dance around the whole house because no one was watching. That's why I never considered dance as a possible profession. Dancing as a job? Well, that was the problem. That I never considered it. I never even tried. Then I did.
Right. I
finally owned the fact that I needed something different. It's It's weird to think that I wound up doing something I had already been doing my entire life. Maybe someone was trying to tell me something this entire time and I just wasn't listening.
Maybe.
Might I ask you a question?
Sure.
Is that all there is?
No? Of course not. But I'd like to ask you one more question. How did you